Hey everybody, welcome back. It's your fave, it's your boys, X's and Knowles guys, presented by Knowles 24/7. We are back with another video. And guys, it's a hot topic, only the hottest topics for you all because we love you so much. Today we're going to be doing some analysis of some transfer portal targets that FSU is looking to pursue in this post portal time era, whatever. The portal is officially closed to new entries, but Florida State is now looking to add after they retained as much of their roster as they could. It was a fast and furious time. You would know that if you were on Knowles 247 and a subscriber, a member on the board. The scoop was fast and furious. And if you haven't yet, it's still coming down. Subscribe to Knowles 24/7. The news is dropping all the time. Today, we're going to be talking about two prospects, two hotly contested prospects, two guys that Florida State really needs to some degree. We'll talk about at the end who might they need more than the other, but we'll go there in a second. First, we're talking about UAB transfer safety. We're talking about Jaylen Key, and we're also talking about Michigan State wide receiver Keon Coleman. I'm excited about both. I think we're actually going to be looking at Keon Coleman's film first, and these are two guys that I'm really excited to look at with learned individuals such as yourselves. Are you two guys excited about these names just briefly before we get into the film?
Yeah, I think you have to be excited, especially I mean, Coleman is just a dynamic name. He's kind of been the lead threat for Michigan State ever since well in his sophomore year last year. And yeah, AB's highlighting his stats here. He's just an exciting athlete, and he's someone that I think would kind of elevate FSU's offense from talking, potential being top 5 to talking potentially the best offense in the country. What do you think,
Top
AB?
one.
Yeah, I think Coleman's a big one for me. I know that there's a lot of fixation on the safety position, especially after they lost Duke Cooper and Travis Jay went in the portal. But Coleman, to me, let his strength be a strength. The strength of this team is going to be the offense, in my opinion, and let's make it as good as it can be. Get out there. Don't let anybody be able to get matched up with you. Don't have a weakness on that side of the football, and go hang 50 on everybody, and just get a couple stops defensively. So getting a guy like Coleman would just continue to make a strength to strength and make everybody a little bit happier on that offensive coaching staff.
Even you, Adam, you big offensive line trench run baby. Even you want the fireworks through the air. Kevin and I are clearly rubbing off on you. Could you imagine a kid that scrounged up 800 yards and 7 touchdowns for Michigan State last year? That means the kid is really good. Throwing him on the other side opposite Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell in the middle, Winston Wright making some moves, Trey Benson, Jordan Travis. That's disgusting. So I'm with you. The safety position is a bigger need. But once I saw that Florida State had attached themselves and shown some interest in this kid, the ears perked up. That's what that means for the uninitiated. So we're going to look, and I know that they have a visit set up with the safety from UAB, Jaylen Key, and I think they're working on getting one set up with Keon Coleman right now, right?
Yeah, Zach dropped some scoop today, and I believe he dropped the scoop on Key yesterday. Or no, he dropped that today also. So Key's setting up a visit. He's being recruited by Alabama. I mean, a lot of the big time schools in the region. He's visiting, I believe, this weekend. But again, you can go find Zach's article and get the for real, because I'm just a big dummy that can't read.
Yeah, it's right. Adam is very illiterate. We're not going to give it to you for free. You got to subscribe. You got to subscribe.
I just don't remember. I mean, it is what it is. So, and then Keon Coleman, they're working on a visit for him, but it sounds like Michigan State's trying to keep him. LSU's involved. Again, go read Zach's words because they're much more literate than mine.
Absolutely. Zach's a poet. You don't even know it. They're on the film, Kev. Let's go.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
That's right. Let the film do the talking. Don't know who did this film, but Keon's highlighted in each one of these cut-ups, right?
Yeah, so he's the one at the bottom here. He's blocking. So we like to kind of go over full games as much as we can. It gives us kind of a sense that we know that important for Mike Norvell's offense to see how well you can block on the perimeter. It's something we cited as a potential weakness for this offense, and so we get to kind of see that as this film progresses.
So
He's
is-
highlighted on each one. He's number 0, and yeah, the perimeter blocking too, guys. Like, don't watch that as well, especially with Micah Pittman being off this roster.
Yeah, so sometimes he's not going to get the ball, but
That's okay.
So down here, he kind of does a chip block and
Can learn a lot about a guy when they're not getting the football.
Exactly. So they've set up this kind of action for him to run across the field for these kind of stalk blocks. They're probably also setting up some looks on some shallow routes that he's going to run later in the game
in the backfield. But he's not just a go route guy. That's a lot of people that are the message board.
Yeah, here he is on a hitch.
Scouters, he can't run. Oh, he's just a jump ball guy. He's more than that. He's a vertical receiver. He's what you're going to want, or what a Mike Norvell offense is going to want. But he can do more than that. He can run crossers. He's a bigger, thicker body. He's going to be able to.
He's a decent route runner too. I mean, you can kind of see
I think he controls DBs with his size and his strength.
They get the outside leverage there.
Willing blocker on the perimeter as well. And this is against a Washington team that finished 11-2. So this is against a good Pac-12 team.
Yeah, and he had over 100 yards in this game. So
I mean, he does a really good job of stemming this route so he can get inside leverage on this corner, not on this play, but on this. I lost it. There it is. So right play. These cut-ups are so short. So he gets this inside leverage on this corner, which means that he basically wins this route.
Kev, that's something that we saw when we were reviewing Kentron's film, that we had some issues, even though he got open on that spectacular catch. It wasn't due to the route running. It was just due to his physical ability. This is a guy that's more polished as a route runner, it looks like, from this film, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think he has good route stems. He does a good job high pointing the ball. Yeah, I think he's more polished than where Kentron is right now. I think you're trying to get Kentron to be more of a player that looks and resembles a Keon Coleman.
Oof, that ball was.
Yeah, but you saw him on the crosser against zone earlier. He did a nice job of kind of throttling down and giving the quarterback a chance to.
Nice catch.
Yeah. Here he's keeping it alive, making himself open for his quarterback on the scramble drill.
And working back to the ball. So I think you see the ball skills, you see the route running.
He just always fights. He always seems to be fighting for the football too, which is great.
Adam, I don't really see a lot of the whole jump ball merchant thing that people were talking about. This looks like a tough, nice array of routes.
Yeah, he's got it in his game. It's in there.
Look at that. That's a clean route.
But very physical. Like, you're not coming through this dude.
And he comes back to the football, like you said, Kevin, something that not all Florida State's wide receivers have done consistently.
I mean, I think you got to like his route running. I think the people that say he's a deep ball threat have probably just watched his highlights and, his deep ball catches. I think a lot of their offense did, by a certain point, devolve into just throwing it up to him. But, I mean, you see he's a more complete product than that. They're trying to get him the ball on screen plays. He gets 5 yards out of that. I mean, he's what their offense is kind of revolving around. A good ball there is a touchdown.
Yeah, just missed him.
Once again, the fact that he got 800 yards and 8 touchdowns out of this offense, that's pretty good.
So I don't think he's got elite speed, but he's got good enough speed that he can get vertical on you, and he's physical enough to get through some press, which is nice.
Yeah, I think he's as fast as you need someone who's 6'3" to be.
Play. That's what I'm talking about. He's always fighting for the football. Like he goes and wins it.
Yeah, I think this is someone that I don't know if there's any teams in the country not named Ohio State that wouldn't want this guy on their roster.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he runs clean routes.
This is what you want Malik McClain to become.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good point, Adam. God, could you imagine this guy on the other side with Johnny Wilson? I'm with you. Wide receiver isn't the biggest need right now, but I'm just imagining this guy in Norvell's offense, and it's
Here's his
Here's
third
that.
touchdown.
So he's going to give you some of what you lost in Pokey.
So he's off the screen
Shout
here.
out Pokey Wilson.
Yeah, he's more of. I mean, I would almost argue that Johnny Wilson is more of a guy that's more a pure deep threat guy. This guy runs pretty clean routes, and you see him going over the middle and being pretty effective.
Smooth. Looks very smooth. That's a nice catch.
Yeah, I think if you listen from Michigan State fans,
He's
this
fighting for
guy
the ball
was their
again.
offense.
Well, he is this entire game, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's yeah, there you go. So that's Keon Coleman in a nutshell.
I want that nutshell as part of my roster.
Hey.
Oh, dude, don't make it weird. It's only weird when you guys make it weird after the fact. I'm very family friendly. All right. That film speaks for itself. Let's wait to talk about the total picture after the very end. Kev, you got some all 22 of UAB safety, Jaylen Key. Let's throw that on because inarguably, safety is a much bigger need for Florida State right now. Depth-wise, importance-wise on the defense. It's something we even talked about before Cooper and Cooper and Travis J left.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Let's take a look. They're playing UTSA. UTSA, they went 11-3 on the year, so they were a really good team in their conference.
So he is number 1 here. He's going to be playing safety most of the time. I think they occasionally put him in as linebacker. You can look kind of for the white leggings. That's where he's going to be.
He's a young man that went and had 12 tackles against LSU in the game they played against them this year. Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah,
he shows up. He shows up on tape. I don't think he's an elite. Oh boy,
our video disappeared.
Oh boy,
that's okay.
maybe
Get
he's
it back
gonna have
up.
to
Adam and
vamp
I
for
will
a
talk.
look
Yeah, well,
what happened.
Stop. Anyway, Adam, so what do you see about the game? Like, what jumps at you at first? Because you've already looked at film at this kid as Kevin's trying to pull it up.
The
Was it
first thing that jumps out when
physical
you look at everything, when you put a game on of his and you watch the entirety of it, he's versatile. He's very much Jamie Robinson in that regard, that he can play. And I'm not comparing their games because they're not similar as like the physicality and whatnot.
They can do a lot of stuff.
He can do a lot of stuff. He could play some nickel for you. He can play either safety spot. You can blitz him. He's going to tackle the ball well. Like, I just think he's a very versatile player. He's a guy that you can find a role for.
Like kind of like an upgraded version of like McClellan a little bit, like before he was beat up. Just a very solid hand, a guy that can go in and he's not like a liability, but maybe not like a physical freak or anything
right.
like that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think you like his size. I think
Good
his size
tackle.
lends him to yeah, he's not going to blow people up necessarily, but he's a pretty sure tackler. He's 6'2", 205, so you can kind of put him in either that nickel position or either safety, really.
I think you could put him at nickel, and he could be a small backer for you, a guy that you could match up in some zone stuff and do okay with. I also think you could put him on a hash and play cover 2, and he'd survive in that role also. Like, I don't think he's a guy you're going to man up and he's going to play man coverage on anybody. I don't think that's a strength for him. But I do think you could put him on a hash and tell him, hey, nothing gets by you, and he's going to do that. I think he's going to do his job as long as you're not asking him to be the best athlete.
And with the strength of this team being Florida State's defensive line and their veteran linebackers, they're not really going to have to ask as much as their safeties as they did last year. So I think that this is an intriguing fit.
Yeah, here he is inserted in the box, tackling the football again. Like, I think he does this really well.
You've already seen him kind of play multiple positions. He's both been this guy that drops back as the lone safety, and they've played a lot of cover 3 so far this game. But yeah, I think this is a play worth highlighting because essentially, I mean, they're playing cover 3 again, but essentially what he's doing is he's inserting as this kind of outside linebacker space.
Yep.
He's, reading this and filling this gap as if he is an outside linebacker.
And if you guys remember, Florida State they were good at limiting explosives, but by the end of the year when they were banged up in the backfield, explosive runs became an issue. I'm thinking about that Florida game, maybe some of the stuff during Oklahoma, and a lot of it was missed safety play, right, Adam?
Yep. Yeah. Well, especially in the Florida game. I mean, you had poor Sidney Williams have to go into safety. He'd been practicing linebacker for
Right.
weeks on end. All right, so we
Oof.
got a bust there. I'm not sure who it's on. I was watching him, not the entirety of the play, but
He just got stiff armed to the ground for a tackle. He used Newton's third law?
I'm thinking
You tell
Every
me,
action
science
has
man.
an opposite equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah,
They
I'm
both
familiar
fall.
with one Newton, and it deals with figs.
Yeah. So what's going on here? Is this a busted coverage?
yeah,
What do you think, AB?
I don't know.
They're either in some kind of cover 4, in which case he's right for falling this way,
They've
or
just been
they're in
running so much cover 3. Like
or they're in cover 3, which makes me think it's his fault.
he seems to be thinking there's supposed to be another split safety over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very odd.
Well, he makes the fall down.
Yeah, at least he cleans it up. And that's what you want. Make him line up and play again. A hell of a tackle.
Creative tackler.
Yeah, I think that's what you put. Yeah, so he's in cover 3 again.
Ooh.
And UTSA has the
Yeah,
26th best offense according to F+. So
holy moly.
advanced metrics seem to think that this offense is pretty darn good. So
He's rotating down again.
yeah, so
you see a lot of that. Against LSU, he plays down the box quite a bit.
He's a bigger bodied safety, so it kind of makes sense for him to use him that way. And I think FSU would too. I think they would use him as a Jamie Robinson type role, as someone that's not afraid to kind of also be that linebacker.
I would like to see him in coverage. I'd love to see him covering somebody in like man or something.
Yeah, it feels like the one time we would have had that opportunity, he was dropping to a different part of the field.
Yeah.
So here he is at the top. Just kind of.
He's not lost in space. He's mirroring the quarterback pretty well.
Yeah, here he is.
Okay.
Let's see. Here he is at the bottom.
I think he's got 2 years left too. I think
he does have 2 years, and I think that's where you're kind of hopeful that he's someone that has a frame that could potentially be developed further.
Yeah, I know in Zach's little in his scoop today, he talks about this is a young man who has NFL aspirations. That's one of the reasons why he's on the move. So I think he's
got some great offers too, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the talent in the frame he's got. He's very athletic. I mean, you see this play. This is where he flashes. Goes across the field, makes a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you want him as that kind of box safety. I don't know if, it would be nice to see him in some man coverage. They've been playing a lot of zone. Okay, potential man coverage here. Yep, here we go. Up. They ran the ball. Come on, UTSA. The one time you run the ball.
They'll do it, Kev. Just wait. You got to have faith, baby.
Well, they're like a pseudo air raid team, so kind of disappointed. Yeah, he's in the middle of the field. It seems like UAB kind of doesn't necessarily want to ask him to do a lot of straight man coverage. Here he is kind of blitzing.
Yeah, a little late, a little slow.
Yeah.
I'm with you though, Adam and Kev. That like big nickel kind of third linebacker look, I think he's really going to excel there. He's got very good like instincts as a tackler with angles and things like that, not overrunning plays, getting people to the ground right there.
We know how many plays Jamie Robinson was forced to clean up last year, and you're hoping that that's not the case this season with the D-line talent you have. But you need a guy that's going to be reliable back there and dependable for you. And I think they have a lot of hopes for Shaheem Brown and Akeem Dent to a degree, but I don't know if they feel like they're dependable yet.
That's a tough tackle.
Well, I also know with Kirkland and Hussey, I think you trust them a little bit more to be those like deep third safety type guys. So
center fielder dudes.
I think this kind of idea of a safety that fills gaps, that's something that's harder to do and more of a premium. And I think that's why you see he's kind of sought after right now. And I think it kind of fills a gap in the safety room you don't quite have right now. Although it's still nice to see some coverage.
Yeah, he's gonna have to cover somebody at some point. I mean,
yeah, and I think we can. Oh, man coverage, we got him. All
right,
okay.
not bad.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
well, I do know that there's one. If you guys want to talk for a second, I'll find one snap against LSU that I really liked of him in coverage.
okay.
The skill set to me is intriguing, Adam. I
Mhm.
like a sure tackler, especially for, and I can't wait to see what Adam Fuller does schematically. Last year, his MO was limit the explosive, and it led FSU to a lot of success. That proposition became a little dicey at the end of the year with the explosive runs and some of the explosive passes, a lot of it due to some unsure tackling. This kid, while he doesn't jump off the page, he stops plays. Like
Yeah.
when he hits kids, they're going down and the play is stopped and they live to fight another day. They live to give their defensive line another chance. This kid fits in really well with the personnel and the scheme that at least Adam Fuller employed last year.
Yeah, I think so, and I think there's a need. There is a need for them to have another guy that they feel like they can depend on. I mean, it's tough to say you're going to depend on KJ Kirkland or Conrad Hussey at this point
Sure.
going into the season where you've pushed your chips all in. The other thing that he does is, besides just bring some dependability on the back end as a tackler, is he might allow you to move Shaheem Brown a little bit and find good matchups for him. And that's a guy they feel really high on, that they want on the field, and they want to be able to use him as a weapon. One of Jamie Robinson's greatest roles last year was when they started to be able to move him around in the second half of the year. You think of him against Miami as a blitzer.
Good point.
The Ja'Carri Brown sack. There was a number of plays in the second half of the year where they started moving Jamie Robinson around. They put him in some of that big nickel role and let him do some things. Bringing this guy in might allow you to put Shaheem Brown there, who they also like to use and utilize it as that type of athlete. This would let you do that. So it's just going to allow you to bring more versatility to your defense if you're able to get a guy like this, whether it be him, whether it be Shaheem Brown. But I also just think it's going to bring a level of dependability, which, if you recall, when Adam Fuller talked about McClellan, and they called him Pack, when he talked about McClellan, he always talked about how reliable he was and how he could count on him. And that's a big deal for them philosophically. Like they want to know that they can depend on you. So bringing a veteran kid in like this, a guy that we see can tackle the ball really well, there's a level of comfort you get as a coach when you know your guys can tackle the football. But being able to, if you could plug him in back there, even as a reserve, I don't know. I wouldn't think you're bringing him in. I don't think he's probably going to want to be a reserve, but I don't know. I don't know what those conversations are like, but there's going to be a comfort level with him, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of like a good insurance policy, right? Like everybody needs it. Sometimes you got to overpay, but when you have to use the insurance, it's invaluable. So this kid
100%.
to me, and with the fact that it gives your defensive coordinator more flexibility in who he can use, and kind of like it lets Adam Fuller be more like Mike Norvell and Alex Atkins, put his athletes in the best position to succeed.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. We know Adam Fuller has an attack mindset. He wants to be offensive minded as a defensive coach. Like, this is a guy, this is a weapon. This is not a safety. This is a defensive weapon. You're going to be able to use him to do things.
Yeah, so this is I found the play that I was referencing against LSU. My pin is messing up, but basically UAB is on a blitz here, so he's in man coverage on this slot receiver, who's going to be running a shallow route away from him, which is one of the harder routes to defend in college football, especially from the safety position.
A lot of distance.
And Jaden Daniels kind of sees this and knows where to go with this ball, looks off the safety, and he throws the ball. But you can see him tracking in coverage and kind of that athleticism come out.
Yeah, I like that.
And so I think you don't necessarily see the change of direction that you want to get a full picture of his coverage abilities, but I think straight line athleticism, I don't have too many questions that he could keep
runs
up with
well,
some
he doesn't look
linebackers.
overly stiff. Like,
right.
I think there's a baseline of athleticism there that suggests that he can cover well enough.
I think so too.
Like, yeah, I think you could put him on a hash and he's going to be able to cover hash the sideline. He's going to be able to do those kinds of things. You could probably drop him middle of the field. He can cover up 4 verts, that type of stuff. Like, he looks athletic enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, especially in a straight line. Like Kevin said, we didn't really see like the side-to-side agility, change of direction, that sort of stuff from that film, but I'm very encouraged, and I understand, based on the way he plays, what he does, the traits he has, why he's getting the offers he is. Also, a little bit of supply and demand from the second thing of the portal. All right. Let me talk to you guys. Who do you want more? Who does FSU need more? Are those two answers different for you, or are they the same? Kevin, you first.
I mean, you want Keon Coleman. I think that commitment video would get us more views. Selfishly,
you're such a little. Look at me. Look at me. Unreal.
Man, listen to him.
Yeah. No, but yeah, he's just a fun athlete. He's a bigger name. You know, I think it'd make splashes in the college football community. It would get more eyes on Florida State game 1 to say, hey, we got another big transfer. I personally think that Key represents a bigger improvement for the team. But I was very low on the safety depth before they lost Duke Cooper, and now I'm not any more optimistic about it. I really like what you're getting out of the freshmen coming in, but they're freshmen. And I mean, I just remember the Florida game where you almost single-handedly gave up a lot of points against Florida just because you were really low on safeties, and you're losing Jamie Robinson out of that group and haven't really replaced him. So I think the safety is a bigger need. But I'm more excited about potentially signing Coleman because, you know, AB said it earlier. If you score just 100 points on somebody every game, it doesn't really matter if your defense is top 30 or top 10. Just look at Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
It's a flex. It's a flex, and it's a viable strategy, and it's just real fun. Adam, do you echo Kev's sentiments?
Yeah, I think I do. Want Coleman the most, need Key the most. I just make a strength a strength. Like, go kill an ant with a sledgehammer. Like, let's not play around with these dudes. Let's make them cover every inch of the field when we're on offense. There's too many times last year where, I mean, you think to the Wake Forest game, you think of stretches against Clemson, games in the important games, as much as it became about, well, this defense couldn't rise to the occasion. There were too many times the offense couldn't rise to the occasion either to take that stress off the defense. And
NC State.
Yeah, and Wake Forest. I mean, I still would argue that they lost the Wake Forest game because of the offense, not because of the defense. So they still need that weapon. You lost to Micah Pittman. You lost to Malik McLean. I love the king of the spring, Kentron Portier, but we've got to see that over a 12-game season, not one spring game. You know what I mean? Johnny Wilson's still got ebbs and flows of his game that need to be ironed out. Like, we need to see that. Adding a Coleman, who's another dynamic number 1 type receiver, puts 2 guys out there for Jordan Travis, and it is New York City. Here we come.
I agree with you too. I would have agreed with you both more before I saw the Key Kids film, because I think he's a better player than I think I initially thought, at least for what he does. He's very good at what he does. But I'm with you, dude. Just bring the howitzers. Just drop all the bombs over Baghdad and level teams to ash. That's what I want. And it could happen.
I just think I'm not sure people understand what that would do for the offense. You get those 2 vertical threats out there. You can't double either of them. You've got Jaheim Bell running around the middle of the field. you
Trey
then
Benson.
yeah, Trey Benson. You're then taking stress off of Winston Wright, who you've got to fill that slot receiver role. It's going to be with Winston Wright and with Jaheim Bell, the two of them most likely, with a Ja'Kai Douglas. Like, you now create space for those guys to run in the middle of the field, and that becomes a big deal for them. I talked to Kev. I was texting with Kev a little bit earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday. I can't remember. Like, if you land a Coleman, we need to see Mike open the passing game up. Like, it's got to become we need to embrace the run and shoot offense to a degree. And he was like, well, they were running that switch concept, and that's straight out of the run and shoot. Like, they're going to really, if he lands a kid like that, you can't be running the football 30 times a game like that. As much as that is your philosophy and that's who you want to be, like, it's got to go by the wayside a little bit. You're going to have to throw the football.
I've never had any doubts, especially when looking into Mike Norvell's history. He's going to maximize the personnel that he has. And if you've got a wide receiver core like that, with a quarterback like that,
yeah,
like you said, bro, book your tickets to New York, man. It's going to be nasty.
Yo, Graham, I know you're watching this. Let's get her done.
Anyway, and you guys, thank you for helping us get it done each and every single week. We appreciate every single view that we have. We're going to be coming back with some fast and furious content. Of course, subscribe to Noles 24/7 to see if all these visits get set up, how they go, interviews after the fact, and maybe some potential commitments. Can't wait. Football never sleeps, and neither do the boys here at X's and Noles and Noles 24/7. We love you. We will be back. We never leave. I'm always in front of my computer unless I'm wiping my 3-year-old's butt. Dad life, keep chopping.